Hello, in this video we've got 10 of the most popular photography tips ever, but are they classic, cliche or just a bit crap? There's a bit of learning but also a bit of abusing. Who said learning can't be fun? But before we start, a quick shout out to Skillshare, the sponsor of this video. If you want to learn more about photography or videography, you should check out their website. It's an online sharing platform with thousands of tutorials, as well as allowing you to teach others by uploading your own tutorials.
I asked you lovely people what tip you've heard all too much. Are they useful or overused? Let's look at which should be kept, changed or killed.
This old chestnut, it's not the camera that matters. Oh, of course it doesn't have hands, right?
Come on, let's see you take a photo then, smartass. Oh, you're rubbish.
And as legendary landscapist Ansel Adams once said,
the single most important component of a camera
is the 12 inches behind the camera. Wow. No wonder he's so happy, 12 inches, man. Now, I did once read this tip on a blog where the tipper said instead of having 10 different lenses, invest in some fantastic photography books. Wow. Each lens probably cost, on average, let's say about $300 times 10, $3,000. He's saying you should invest in 3K of photo books. You know, you might want to factor in the cost of a new bookshelf as well. What a boring book collection that would be. I mean, you just can't go around telling people what to do with their money. I mean, number one, some people like collecting gear. Some people like collecting stamps. Some people like collecting something more interesting. Number two, a lot of people actually get it that a good photo doesn't make itself. Number three, sometimes having that expensive gear, using your kid's college fund to spend on some nice fancy ass equipment is the fire under the bum to do better.
Flame grill just like the burgers your kids will have to flip.
But you know, some of these people on the internet who are perpetuating the notion that gear doesn't matter are the very same people who are obsessing about dynamic range, resolution and megapixels in their little tests.
Showing the nice images that they've taken and putting a label what gear they used to shoot it with.
I'm sure the irony is unintentional, but they're creating a problem they're trying to address themselves.
With any human and machine combo, it's always a case of having the right skill and the right tool for the job, but it's not a freaking hammer, it's a gadget.
Unlike any other advice about tech, get the gear that makes you happy, you'll enjoy the images that come out of it, and doesn't put you completely out of pocket.
And then get on with taking photos, alright?
Chase Jarvis, we go back a long way. After all, we used to play Lego together, and this quote was uttered by himself a long time ago also. Now this quote works so well because it supports the notion that it doesn't matter what kind of photo taking device you've got on you, it's better than having your brilliant camera left at home, because taking photos is better than not taking photos.
Well, that photo-taking device Chase was calling best camera was your smartphone, and yes, that coincided with the launch of his app and his book at the same time, and yes, that was 2009, 1 year before Instagram.
Images aren't about dynamic range and megapixels, they're about stories and moments.
Was that a singing cat? Anyway, I love the spirit of the stories and moment bit. We all know smartphones can take decent photos and share them, but what does your fave Instagrammer use to take photos? Probably not their phone. Nonetheless, the beauty of this quote is it works with any camera. Simple. Take your camera with you and you'll miss less photo opportunities, right?
I didn't even think this would be a tip, let alone a cliche tip. I've seen this so many times in my comments, I just had to put this in here. I mean, what kind of tip is this? It's like saying remove your pants before you take a crap. Oh no, not again. Remember to close your mouth when you swallow. Or after you breathe in, breathe out. Otherwise you'll die.
Well, we've all done it at some point. This isn't even me pretending, but perhaps the new revised tip should be aimed at the person who's giving the tip in the first place, to not be such a condescending little...
Oh yeah, oh great, I think I'm close enough. This is going to be a magical shot. No, I love this quote, but you know what? It's probably not safe to be using this advice when you're taking photos of a fire.
It's getting a bit hot in here. Overheating. Sony.
It might be cliche, it might be overused, but it's just good solid advice and something that people often overlook. Whether you do it in camera or in post, sometimes cropping in tighter just makes that subject pop a bit more.
Either that or your subject will pop you a knuckle sandwich. Mind you, I don't think it works for everything. I mean, things like interiors, when you want as much detail as possible, you need a wider shot and therefore you need to step backwards as much as possible. This is a classic quote, but more appropriate for the kind of work that Robert Capa did.
Oh God, how many times has it been said? I think I've said it a few times as well, but for cringe factor alone, let's stop saying this. But not just the cringe factor, it's not just about zooming, it's not just about going forwards.
It implies linearity, and that's not good, especially as you might end up getting stuck.
You need to search for better angles, getting close, moving around the subjects, framing it differently. The good photographers keep moving to try and find the best angle. And if you look at a contact sheet of some of the legendary photographers, and for all those before my time, a contact sheet is like a Lightroom library in physical form. Wow, mind blown.
Anyhow, yeah. The point is,
If you found something that you think will be an amazing shot, work with it. Spend some time to make sure you're getting the best side. Shit to hit ratios are always in favour of shit. Getting most possibilities covered will give you a better chance of a hit, rather than a... never mind.
I mean, the tip generally should be move your feet, move your ass. Actively get the shot. Don't let the shot come to you.
next up is something that is often recommended you do, and that's not take a selfie.
Golden hour. Oh yes, this is a goldie oldie, but I think it is good to tell new photographers why golden hour is a great time of day to be taking photos.
No need to explain it, just look at it. It's the sun having its sexy time moment. It makes landscapes look sumptuous. It makes a good landscape great. It shows that you spend the time to plan it and time it right. But it's not the only light you should use. For street photography, I hardly ever use golden hour light. On a rainy day, moody grey skies and reflections, light is soft. Between 11 AM to 3 PM, harsh light and shadows, yes. Makes people squint, likely, but I like that stark high contrast look. It's bold. People might do things to hide their face from the sun, and I like the way it looks for black and white. Know the different types of light and use it to your advantage. Don't avoid it.
Say you like the whole process of being slowed down. Maybe you can ask for somebody to take a baseball cap to your kneecaps then. Don't get me wrong, I like film, I shoot film. Sometimes I like to mix things up and go through the whole process of shoot now and then wait a bloody long time to realise how bad your shots are. And you know, it might be a spiritual thing for some photographers. It might make you more connected with something. Certainly not Wi-Fi or Bluetooth anyway. But it's not exactly great advice to tell somebody who's bought a digital camera to buy a film camera just to improve their photography. Shoot film because you want to shoot film.
Is it a slower process? Well, of course, you can't chimp, and if you go full manual, it's full manual. It's slower, but perhaps the learning process will be too. If you want a bit of that action, tape your screen up and shoot all manual.
Oh god, I hate this. Any tutorial in 2019 that has rule of thirds as one of the tips is just plain lazy. Of course it's not nonsense, you can apply it to some photos to make it look nice, but it shouldn't be a rule. There shouldn't be people telling you to use rule of thirds.
It can be useful for composing a shot, but tell learners that you must use rule of thirds, and they'll worry whenever it's slightly out. There are other ways of composing a shot also, with leading lines. Symmetry. The golden triangle. Oh balls, that didn't work. And the golden, snail?
Just hate any do's and don'ts for composition, like don't put the horizon in the center of the frame.
Putting the horizon on, say, the top thirds, oh balls, I missed it, emphasises the foreground. Other way around, the sky. But it does work to have the horizon somewhere in the middle too.
And yes, sometimes it does look odd to have the horizon in the middle frame, but sometimes it just works, alright?
The point is, there are numerous aesthetically pleasing ways to compose a shot, so there's no point just listening to one rule, one method. You could say, learn the rules and then break the rules. Well, that would be cheesy, right?
There's a load of rules and conventions. Learn them, then forget about them.
It's not such bad advice, it's not too cheesy. Maybe like some mild cheddar or mozzarella or something like that. But no, seriously, it's not such a bad thing to remind people because photography is all about being creative and you can get some sound advice from even the most cheesy of cliche tips. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. You're all alone.
Whoever's tips you read, take what you want and use your own sense to create your own formula, not follow someone else's.
Oh, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed me being abusive to some other words and hope you learned some stuff. If you want to learn more things about photography and videography, you should check out Skillshare.
There's tips and tutorials by photographers such as this one about documentary photography, not just by any photographer, a Nat Geo photographer, Amy Vitale. She goes through a whole flow and you can listen to her talk about shooting at sunrise and sunset. Yay!
The premium membership costs less than $10 a month, which is cheaper than a lot of other online learning platforms and gives unlimited access to all the classes.
So yeah, Skillshare, not just for learning about photography or videography, there's a plethora of other stuff. And if you're going to join, there's a coupon code right here.
Skillshare is offering a 2-month trial for the first 500 of you lovely people. You can take advantage of that offer by using the following link, which is in the description below. Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Ah. Ooh.